Okay, so in round one, I played Ethan, and it was a Chigorin. I played knight c6. He played knight c3. Now, in this position, the two most common moves are to take on c4 and play knight f6. You can play either one. I don't like either one of those. I play e5, which I also don't like.
Maybe you should have played the Chigorin. Thank you, ZL1 Corvette. Thank you so much for the sub. And how's it going?
Now, because of knight c3, when Tony Miles played the Chigorin, he didn't allow this way of playing. He told me he played knight c6 on move 1, and he would only play d5 after knight f3. If his opponent played c4, then he wouldn't play d5, he would play e5, which I've also done. However, unlike Tony Miles, I don't like this position for black. Although I've done it in blitz chess, but he would allow that, and I don't. So, yeah, he didn't like this for black either. I think he's right. Anyway, I've played this for a long time, but it's not. Engine doesn't like it very much. Take, take. Yeah, this is. I've had this a million times. Yeah, and in this position, I sort of regret what I did. I always play King F8 here. I've played it at least 7 times in tournaments, either in this position or similar positions where they check me. And then the bishop on b5 has to go back eventually and lose a tempo. And I want to play a6 anyway. And I don't want to trade white squared bishops because, as you can see, my dark squared bishop is somewhat blockaded.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why I decided not to play King F8. I decided to play like the engine move. But I don't like this way of playing. And this game didn't dissuade me from playing King F8 again. I mean, the whole line's not very good. My results are okay. Okay, he took. I took with the queen. He attacked my knight, and I saw it. And this is the kind of position you get with black. The problem is, when you trade the white squared bishops, white's going to play queen b3. He's going to play queen b3 last move. And it's very difficult to defend this pawn in a natural way. Obviously, if my bishop's on c8, because I didn't play bishop d7, then it's already defended. Problem with rook b8 is bishop e3 attacks the a pawn, and his pawns are all attacked. So you either have to sacrifice this pawn, which is unsound, or play b6, which is strategically bad. And here I was worried about knight f6 because of bishop g5. So I played knight g6 first, since I'm going to play knight g6 anyway. And then here I decided to bite the bullet and just play b6. I didn't want to sacrifice a pawn for like nothing. Anyway, the engine agrees with the way I'm playing. Played a4, which is annoying. And if he plays a5, I'm not going to have a lot of counterplay because c6 is weak, and he has the c file. I don't really have a kingside attack. My bishop on d6 isn't very good. So I played a6 so that if he plays a5, I can play b5 and close up the queen side. Okay, he played bishop e3, just developing his bishop. I developed my knight. He put it in h. He didn't want my knight to go to g4. That's a little slow. And I finally castled. And even though in this particular game, up until this point and later, he doesn't really do anything. He doesn't do anything aggressive. He plays random legal moves that slightly improve his position. And I can't really handle that. I don't have enough play to get a good position from that. And his moves are fine. Played rook c1, which is okay. I played h6, which is recommended by the engine. I don't want him have access to this square. And sometimes I want to play knight h7 to g5. And he just played rook fd1, which doesn't do anything, but doesn't hurt its position. And I played knight h5. And now the engine is thinking we were going from a position where white was obviously better to closer to equal. Better for white, but I'm getting my counterplay now with knight f4 and f5. Okay, he played knight e2, which defends f4. And also he opens the line for his rook. and I play f5, and now the engine thinks I'm fine. This is the best position of the game that I've had. When I have black in a Chigorin, and this is the variation, this is what I'm going for. Knight f6, knight g6, knight h5, f5, knight f4, etc. And he didn't do anything. He just moved his pieces into the center. He didn't do anything attacking me or threatening anything. And so now the engine says that white is perfectly fine. And I made my only big mistake of the game next move. And I probably should have thought longer about it. He took on f5, and I took the wrong way. Yeah, my move is quite bad, actually. So in all these kinds of positions where I play f5 in any opening, and I'm opening up the f file, I almost always want to take with the rook and then double rooks, because my rook on a8 is shallow and pedantic. But in this particular position, I don't want to do that. I want to take with the queen. And if I take with the queen, the big differences between taking with the queen and taking with the rook is the very important e4 square, which is this square. And he's going to play knight d2 and knight e4, and he can back up his knight with this knight or this knight. And I would prefer if he didn't play knight e4, and if I played e4, opening up my bishop and opening up the e5 square for my knight. It's a clearance non-sacrifice. I'm clearing this diagonal and the e5 square, but I'm not sacrificing anything. So the engine thinks the position is approximately equal after queen f5, knight d2, e4. And it seems like a double-edged position where either side could win. I have some weaknesses on e6 and c6. He has the tactical trick rook takes c7 because he has d6 check. And the engine says it's equal. But obviously if I have black and I have a double-edged position and it's equal, that's fine. That's trying not to be worse. I'm trying not to have a boring drawn position. And I didn't realize how important it was for me to try to play e4 and open up my bishop and the e5 square for my knight. So I took with the rook, which is quite bad. And then he played knight d2, and he offered me a draw. And I thought maybe 15 minutes about it. And, well, I didn't know how to continue, how to progress. Because the variations I looked at, I didn't like. For example, if I play this knight to f4, he can play knight g3, attacking my rook, and then this knight goes to e4, and then my bishop's just terrible, and he can play on the queen side. And I didn't know what to do here to increase my attack on the king side. So I accepted the draw, although in hindsight, I should have taken with the queen on f5. And this particular tournament, I wasn't very confident. And in the old days, when I was younger, I wouldn't have cared who I thought was better. I would just be like, I'm going to beat this guy. He's not very good. And then I would have played. And nowadays I look and I'm like, I'm playing slow. I don't know what to do. And, you know, he's going to play knight e4. And then I take the draw. So that was a mistake, taking the draw. Rook takes f5 was a mistake. The opening was a mistake. Otherwise, I'm pretty good. My analysis
Playing
is
in the
good.
tournament was a mistake.
Yeah, everything was a mistake. But I won a prize. Thanks, that Chi-Town dude.
Yeah, thank you. And also, Dr. Krieger, thank you for the gifts.